What is up, guys? So I've been using the 16-inch MacBook Pro every single day for the last month, and I can say this is the best laptop I've ever had. With the 16-inch MacBook Pro redesign, they added a lot of new features and changed a lot of things to make it a way better laptop than the 15-inch, and I think it's really worth the money. The new laptop has better cooling, a new keyboard, smaller bezels, and a bigger battery. And the big battery is really amazing. It's a 100 watt-hour battery that gets about 10 hours of battery life. That's what they say. So far, I've gone a full day at school for 8 hours and not needed to recharge it once. I recharge it when I get home, and I don't really have to worry about finding an outlet somewhere in my lecture hall, which is really, really nice. The battery is as big as it legally can be to take on a plane, and it comes with a new charger. So the new charger is a 96 watt-hour brick, which allows you to charge this thing from 0 to full in about 2.5 hours, which is pretty crazy considering how big the battery is, and other laptops with a battery this big generally take really long times to charge. And it also comes with a USB-C charger, which is really nice. I like the fact that they use the same port for I/O, also for charging, but that also has a downside. When you're charging this thing, you do lose a port, which is kind of annoying considering it only has 3. But back to the cable. The cable's super high quality and what you'd expect from Apple. I actually use this for a lot of my other USB-C stuff, which is really nice, especially my Samsung T5, which I use a lot for this. So the laptop I got is the base model, which means it's got the i7 6-core, 16 gigs of RAM, the AMD Radeon 5300M with 4 gigs of RAM, and a 512 gigabyte SSD, which is why I use this. The internal storage is a little small for storing videos and stuff, especially the 4K footage I shoot on the Nikon Z6 can be pretty big, so I edit stuff off of this, which is nice. The Samsung T5 uses USB-C, so I don't need an adapter to use it with the keyboard. I can just plug it straight in. And the ports on the side are super fast. They are Thunderbolt 3, so they're up to 40 gigabits per second, which is lightning fast, and I have no problem editing 4K footage off this drive. This is actually one of the fastest external drives they have. One of the problems, though, is that charging takes up a USB port, and you're going to need all of these, considering that you only get 4 USB Type-C ports. When I do things like streaming or the podcast, I use every single port, and I could use some to spare, honestly. So if you buy the new MacBook Pro, or any MacBook Pro for that matter, you're going to want to buy an adapter. So this is a Anker USB-C, comes with Ethernet, 2 USB Type A's, some card readers, an HDMI, and a USB-C port. And this thing has been a lifesaver, especially when I need those extra ports. And for uploading YouTube videos, I really want to use Ethernet because my upload speeds are super slow. With the redesign on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, they also went back to their old school keyboard. Now, they say it's a new design, but it's basically a scissor switch keyboard that has a lot less failure rate, and I haven't seen any reported problems with it. I really like it so far. One of the caveats, though, is that they have the touch bar. I don't really like the touch bar. It seems pretty gimmicky to me, especially for things that used to be so easy, like increasing brightness, pause, play, or changing the volume. Now you have to dive through the menu because the touch bar isn't always expanded to have all of your things in one touch, which is kind of annoying. Also, you can't really feel it like you would a physical key, so sometimes you have to look down to find what you're clicking on. The touch bar can be cool for things like Premiere Pro where you can scrub through the timeline or change your tools, but I find myself not using it that much because it's easier just to go to the tool, click, or use the keyboard shortcuts that Premiere includes. Another thing that's super awesome is they went back to having a physical escape key, which is super welcomed, especially for programmers, because I know that when I'm using VS Code and it goes to autocomplete to something I don't want it, having to hit the escape key on the touch bar was a pain in the butt. Now I can just hit it real quick and it's a lot easier, and I really enjoy it. I would like to see the touch bar moved above the keyboard and include physical F keys if they'll ever do that in the future. One of the things that they included on this one is also a new power button with a Touch ID sensor built in, which I think is really nice. Having a physical power button is pretty good, and it makes it easy to turn on. And to log in, all you have to do is hold your finger over it. It also integrates with stuff for your passwords, so a lot of apps you can use it, and it's really nice. I don't find myself using Touch ID that much, considering I have an Apple Watch, and it'll automatically log me in if my Apple Watch is on my wrist and the password is entered in, so that's pretty cool, and it works really seamless, so I pretty much never need to log into this laptop with a password or Touch ID. The trackpad on this keyboard is amazing, especially coming from a Windows system where you don't really have any of the gestures. Something I've grown to love is the multi-gestures on the keyboard to open up things like Launchpad, switch between your windows, and even switch between your workspaces, which is super nice. I love being able to set up my environment so I have stuff separately on each workspace and then just being able to swipe to move to the next one. It makes it so much easier, and I don't lose track of my windows all over the place like I did with Windows. I know that Windows 10 has an implementation of this, but I don't think it's as seamless, especially with multi-gesture. It allows you to switch way easier. Something new on this MacBook Pro is the speakers, and they've blown me away. They have a new type of subwoofer built in that's supposed to reduce the rattle, and I think it works pretty well. The speakers themselves, though, are really good. When I first opened the laptop and listened to some music, I was really surprised to see how good they sound, and I often use them a lot more than I did with my old laptop. So I used to plug in my headphones whenever I would listen with my old laptop, but the speakers on these are so good that I often find myself not doing that, and you can even use these to play light music if you're having a couple people over, which is pretty cool. One of the weird things about the keyboard that I don't really enjoy is the change to the arrow keys. I would have preferred the arrow keys to still extend all the way up, as I feel like this space on the keyboard is just wasted space now. I kind of miss them, so when I go to hit the arrow key, I'll hit the space in between that and the shift often, but I feel like I'll get used to this in the future and it won't be that big of a problem. The screen on this laptop is one of the best features, especially someone like me who does a lot of photo editing. So when I'm in Lightroom and I'm changing the colors and stuff, the color representation on this screen is a lot more accurate than my really old 1080p displays that I use with my desktop. So I find myself using this to edit photos more than I use my desktop. It also seems like this computer is faster than my desktop. I've rendered 5-minute clips in 4 minutes and 30 seconds of 4K footage from my Nikon Z6 in Premiere on this laptop, and it performs really well. Now, this is the base model. Now, it is an expensive laptop, and you could build a pretty sweet desktop, but for the portability and the power that you get out of this, I think it's a great laptop. As well as using Mac OS, everything works seamlessly, especially if you're already in the Apple ecosystem with their phones, their watches, AirPods, and other stuff like that. One of the best things about the new redesign of the MacBook Pro is the increased cooling. So with the new fan and heat shroud system, they say you get up to 30% increased cooling, which is super welcomed considering that the old MacBook Pro in the i7 was said to be faster than the i9 because of thermal throttling problems. I only have the i7, but I'm glad to see that the temps stay low, as that can cause problems if you're running way too hot on your CPU. The fans do ramp up and can get pretty loud if you're doing really intensive tasks, but I found that normal usage, the fans are dead quiet like every other MacBook Pro. So far, I can definitely recommend this laptop. It's been my favorite laptop that I've had to date, and I think some of the updates they have over the 15-inch, the 16-inch MacBook Pro has moved up a notch and become a lot better. With the increased airflow, the better keyboard, smaller bezels, and the bigger battery, I think this is a no-brainer. If you guys are in the market for a 16-inch MacBook Pro, go ahead and pick one up. I really do love it, and it's worked great for me, especially for photo, video editing, and all of the other advanced stuff that I do with my laptops. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, please be sure to click that subscribe button and leave a like. Thanks for watching, guys, and peace.